Welcome to Season 2, Episode 24 of the Tree of Geek, your go-to podcast for all things sci-fi, fantasy, and everything in between. I'm your host, Josh.
Is that true?
It is today. I'm your host, Josh, joined by our resident horror expert and show co-host, Michael.
Expert? Well, shit, I didn't realize it was getting that bad. Joe, hey, man. Happy to be here and stuff.
Well, you're getting the badge, and I'm giving us the badge of being the go-to podcast, so everybody's lying all around today.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a lie. It's just,
Well, today we are taking a trip into the mysterious and mind-bending world of dark matter. No, not the crazy space adventure.
You mean where the people wake up and they don't know who they are and somebody's an assassin and there's the one robot lady from Jason X?
Yes, not that one.
No,
nope.
Okay.
No, this is the latest sci-fi epic from Apple TV that follows the Blake Crouch novel by the same name. I have read the novel, I've seen the show, I know you've seen the show, and I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it, and Emily's like, I don't think so. So I ended up doing it on my own, on the side. When we were in bed, I watched it at work. Watch it wherever I get it.
And I was right.
Fit in where I can get in.
But before we get into it, we always do our normal segment right off the bat. New and Geek. And since I'm talking first, Michael, please, what is new in your world?
Well, I said I was going to give you this one, but let's just do it together. Okay, this is the big news.
It doesn't
No, we're going to wait. That's the big one. We're going to wait till the end for this.
Okay.
Okay. Let me start from the bottom up on my list. Let's go first off with, I know what you did last summer, Josh, and you cannot hide the secrets. I have the hard drives.
How is that New and Geek? That movie came out when I was like 8.
Well, we're getting a sequel. Freddie Prinze Jr.
We've gotten 2 sequels.
Well, we're getting another one. I don't know if Jack Black's going to somehow resurrect himself and come back or not. Yeah, we're going to get a sequel. Freddie Prinze Jr. is coming back. Sarah Michelle Gellar says no, but Jennifer Love Hewitt said there's a possibility. So that's a thing. You know, with Scream having its resurgence the last few years, why not dust off that thing and bring it back?
Do you think we're going to see a resurgence of those types of movies?
Well, the late 90s, you know, and I'm currently on 1995.
Of your rewatches?
Yes. There was a lot of things got in the way. I've had to do 2 jobs. That's right. I've had to work at work. Therefore, I can't do what I want to do. Yeah, I'm on 95. But that leads me to my next. There's huge documentaries out there called In Search of Darkness, 1 and 2. And there might be a third one where they go through all the 80s horror movies year by year. They talk about them. They're like 3-4 hours long. They got Robert Englund. They got John Carpenter. So many amazing people show up on those. And they talk about the movies that they were in. You know, Tom Atkins shows up. It's great. Well, now they're doing an In Search of Darkness 90 to 94. It's going to be 5 hours long, apparently. Coming out in November for digital, supposedly. You can like pre-order this for like a boat ton of money. And I just hit the thing on my chair, and now I feel like Oompa Loompa.
Oh, yeah, you shrunk real quick.
Yeah, like real fast. Yeah. Josh brought us some new chairs, and they're very simple.
I wish they had
Maybe I'm just a
I wish they had
simple man.
armrests. But they don't.
Yeah,
but they're still a little bit better than those. I mean, they look nice.
The lounge
leather chairs. But yeah, like you sink down in it and
they're low.
They kill your back.
Get lower. Yeah, so that's coming out. Very excited. I've seen all the other ones. They also have an In Search of the Future one. They have Rutger Hauer in it. They talk about Blade Runner and all those fantastic movies. And we'll keep the horror train running here. Terrifier 3. Apparently, there have been several people who have walked out. People have vomited. There's some notorious shower scene that's supposed to just be. Now these movies are known for gore.
What's it called?
Terrifier 3. It's about Art the Clown, and it's just they're all first 2 are just ridiculous.
Just don't ask me to watch those.
I don't expect anybody in my friend circle to watch them. Nobody will. But Ice Nine Kills, a pretty big metalcore band. They just did a music video with them. So, I mean, it's popular, and they said they're probably going to do a part 4. So I'm very, very, very happy. DC Lanterns got some casting news. So they tried to get Mr. Thanos to play Hal Jordan, and it didn't work out. So instead they got Kyle Chandler. That's right. Your football coach from Friday Night Lights, the TV show.
Wait, they wanted Josh Brolin to play
Hal Jordan.
Nah, that just doesn't fit at all.
Well, maybe that's why it didn't work. But we're going to get Kyle Chandler as well instead. Then we just got Aaron Pierre, just got cast the other day as Jon Stewart. He's from this new TV show where he fights the local sheriff or something. I don't know, it's like one of those rock movies, you know, the Walk Tall or something. I don't know. I didn't watch it, but he's just got cast Jon Stewart, and we already had Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. So I think this is shaping up to be pretty decent. I think James Gunn might have some good ideas. However, there's some other DC stuff that maybe, not saying that I told you so, maybe wasn't the best idea. What do you think I'm talking about here, Josh?
I really think that you're talking about Superman. No, I'm just kidding. I know you're talking about Joker Folie à Deux, which means, was it Dance for Two or something like that? Or
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not a French. I'm taking German on Duolingo, not French. So what do you have to say about the new Joker movie? I heard it was amazing.
Well, I didn't watch it.
Really bad.
I didn't watch it. I'm not going to watch it. I will watch it. I will, but they're not going to get money for me. At some point, I'm going to get that on a streaming service. I'm assuming it's going to show up in like a week on streaming. They're smart. I know that right now, right before we started this podcast, I was looking at the numbers website. I was looking at Box Office Mojo, and it was domestically right around Madam Web.
Oh,
yeah, Madame Web is like, you're still under me, bitch.
Ouch.
And internationally, it was at 22 of all the movies. That's on track to do worse than the Marvels. This thing is losing like $70+ million. It's a train wreck. Apparently, there's some
wow.
kissing scenes that people were mad about. People were mad about the dancing, and it doesn't. Why? Just why? Everybody DC. Why?
I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I feel like we called this.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure if you go back like 14 episodes, we very clearly called that this was going to be a complete train wreck.
Well, some of our friends looked at me and said, well, Michael, you don't like Batman. You didn't like the first Joker that much. It's just because you don't like that stuff. You don't like what they did with those properties. And you're right. I didn't like those. But that's not why I was saying this movie's going to suck. As soon as I heard it was a musical, and I have nothing against some musicals. Mary Poppins, that's a dope-ass movie, man. I'll watch Mary Poppins today. That's a good movie.
Greatest Showman.
Never watched it. And I know I'm a Hugh Jackman fan.
It's
Never
Wolverine.
watched it. Yeah.
It's Wolverine.
But this, like, Joker, no. I don't know. Nope. But there you go. That's my new Tree of Geek.
Well, what's your prediction by the end of the year? Do you think it'll maybe do a little bit better, or do you think it's going to continue?
I think by the end of the year, Terrifier 3 is going to make more than Joker 2. I think Art the Clown is going to slaughter Arthur Fleck. That's what I think. I think there's only room for one clown, and that is...
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you a movie that's not going to beat Joker.
Okay.
I'm very confident on this. So, I'm the type of person that I'm a fidgeter. I've got to be doing something in order to focus on something else.
Oh, yeah, you left your fidget spinners here.
Yeah, never owned one. Thank you.
That's what he says, but you guys, you can infer your own conclusions.
Like for me to read a book, I have to have music or a TV, something going. Just like at work, for me to focus on something like a project, I always have a YouTube video or a movie, something playing. I got to have that distraction. I don't know why, that's just how I function. And you know what? In the comments, go ahead and say, oh, well, the human body can't actually multitask. All right, screw off, okay?
I challenge anybody whatsoever to make one comment on any post that we put up, whether it is X, Facebook, or Instagram. I dare one person, and I appreciate that everybody gave the thumbs up to the post I put up today. Like, hey, here's the first categories of the Tree Fort Awards. Comment and a few people liked it, but all you gotta do is take a couple of seconds to actually enter an answer. So I challenge anybody to just say more than 3 words.
My question,
or 3 polite words.
My question is, anyone who thumbs up our Instagram posts and stuff like that, do you think they actually listen to the podcast, or do you think that they think we're just one of those?
Well, I'll give props to the solid 4 or 5 people that consistently.
Jimenez. I don't remember the whole username, but she's on everything.
Candy Jimenez or
I don't know.
Yeah, I give props to those 3 or 4 people. I love Emily, but I don't count her. But I give. Will she listen to this? I don't know. But I give props to those people that actually take the time to scroll, take a second and go, okay, yeah, boom. We're going to show you that we do support you in one way or the other. But I challenge somebody to support me with a polite, constructive sentence. on a post.
Yep. The last comment we got was on Fallout when someone said, "Wow, you actually paid to make an ad out of this."
Well,
Yes.
we did have 2 people on X, but that was 2 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
That did comment on the X post that we did, but they're the same exact post as the Instagram ones. I don't do different ones.
But coming back around, the movie that I decided to watch today while I was finishing up my day was called Alien Hunt.
Not to be confused with the one from the late 80s,
Nope.
early 90s.
This was 2024. It looked kind of cheesy. I figured, I'm not going to watch the trailer.
You shot me a message. You're like, how about this one? I said, no, thank you.
How bad can it be? Dude, this was like a D-list movie art student project.
Out of 10. What do you give it out of 10?
2.
A 2. Whoa.
I looked it up because I should have done a tiny bit of research for Hit and Play, but I didn't. IMDb has as a 3.2 out of 10.
That is
Like,
low.
There's a scene in the very beginning that has a barricade on this road. The barricade is literally like a sawhorse you'd use for working with wood. And it has a piece of paper or like cardboard, not cardboard. What am I thinking of? Like poster board taped onto it that says no trespassing by order of National Guard. You can tell that those letters are like mailbox letters, stickers stuck onto it. The AR-15 or what, the rifle that the one lady has looks plastic.
It's Nerf.
Like it's 100%. Like you can tell there's no moving parts on that.
That definitely came from the Dollar Tree or the Family Dollar.
There's a scene that she's shooting at this one girl, and the bullets are hitting the dirt, and there's sparks exploding everywhere.
Wow.
There's an alien. Yes. Okay, we got that. So
what was better, the Lethal Weapon 5 and 6 from Sunny in Philadelphia or Alien Hunt?
Honestly, I would watch The Lethal Weapon again. I really would.
So according to my film rating system, 1 is unwatchable and 2 is awful, atrocious, and lousy. So would you say that's true, that it is atrocious and lousy?
It wasn't even one of those, okay, it's amusing, but it was really badly done. No, it was just bad. It was horrible. Like the alien, a dude in a suit, hiding behind a tree 95% of the time. And when you do see it, they go to this super janky CGI for like 2 seconds because that's all they could afford. Or that's all they knew how to do.
So you recently watched a movie this week. We're not going to name that movie because we might be talking about it in a future podcast. But that movie that came out in 1997.
Leagues better than this one.
Okay.
Even the CGI was better than this one.
Wow, because okay.
Go look it up on IMDb, just Alien Hunt 2024. I'm not trying to rip the people who did it. I mean, they put their time into it. I'm sure that they thought it was a good project, whatever. But wow.
So we get those movies, but yet Jeff Goldblum's Chaos, the Greek show on Netflix that got like 86%, 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think you said it was a 7 point something on IMDb.
7.5.
Canceled. 1 season, done. Like, what more do studios want? I mean, we're wasting money on Alien Hunter 2024.
Alien Hunt.
I keep getting confused with the 90s movie. I apologize.
And the synopsis was totally misleading. It says like, 4 siblings go to their hunting camp and realize that they're being hunted, so they have to hunt back. That's like 1%.
I wonder which is better, Max and Me or Alien Hunt.
I don't know what Max and Me. I don't know what Mac and Me.
Mac and Me is like it tried to be E.T. It's like this little tiny brown alien, and it's called one of the worst sci-fi movies ever.
I will put it this way: we've never really talked about it on air, but we've talked together a little bit about like what do you consider to be the worst movie you've ever seen?
Razor Blade Smile.
This seriously might be
or Q.
The top of my list as like the worst movie I've ever seen. It's just so pointless.
Worse than Sharknado.
And the worst part is they had it set up for a sequel.
Well, yeah.
Like you could tell they were trying to get a sequel.
There's more aliens. Well, let's move on from aliens.
Okay.
Gotta be done with aliens. Is there anything else of note to talk about for
Not about Alien Hunt, no. All right, moving on. Let's get away from that. Alien Romulus.
We just did a podcast on that.
We did. So there's a prequel, I guess, comic book coming out. By the time you hear this, it'll already be out. It's coming out mid to late October. Pick it up.
Was it about them finding Andy in the garbage?
No, it's that'd be cool actually. No, I guess it's gonna follow the events immediately after they cut open the asteroid in the very 5 minutes of the show.
I already know what happens. The alien kills everybody.
Well,
It rips Rook in half.
It's supposed to cover how all of that takes place up until the actual beginning of Romulus.
Well, I appreciate that it's only going to be a comic book and they didn't spend money to make that a movie.
Yeah, that too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then finally, I just have that Amber Midthunder, our lovely protagonist from the movie Prey.
Fantastic.
She was amazing in this movie. She has recently been signed on for Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2. If you don't know what that is, that's the Godzilla,
Monarch is a butterfly.
Well, I think Monarch is the giant moth. Oh, that's
Mothra.
That's Mothra. I don't know. Whatever.
The Monarch is from the Venture Brothers.
All I know is she has signed on. So obviously she has some type of faith in it. So maybe I'll check it out. I'm not a big Godzilla guy, but I'll check it out. But all in all, I think that's pretty much it for me. Unfortunately, I've been incredibly busy. I haven't had much time to dive into the geeky rabbit hole. My writing, I mentioned that a few weeks ago, has been progressing.
Is that what we're calling it? Writing? Really?
What the fuck does that mean?
Oh, shit.
I do have it posted on Wattpad. I can throw the link in the description. Maybe somebody will go read it.
Is it WHATT?
No, WATT.
Oh.
PAD.
So it's not Wattpad. It's just Wattpad.
No, it's not like that Hawk Twa girl or whatever it is.
Hawk Twa girl?
Yeah, that. No, it's Wattpad.
I think she has a name. I don't know what it is, but
I guess she has a podcast.
She's into other things now.
Dude, she has a podcast that apparently is ranked number 3 in the world or whatever, under Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson. How?
Those are 3 names I didn't think were ever going to be mentioned in the same paragraph on our podcast. Those 3 people.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how she can get a number 3 ranked podcast and we can't even get on the list or a comment.
We go down to the strip in Vegas and wait till people come up with microphones and we can talk to them and then we'll get popular.
And the only other thing I did want to throw out there is I do check our metrics, and on, I think it was Spotify or iTunes. Crap, I don't remember now. Every episode has had almost the very first listener from local. We'll put it that way. It's a little ways away, but I'm 99% sure that it is my former coworker, Ethan. So if it is you and you're listening, I just want to say thank you, and I really appreciate that you're
and if it isn't you,
around.
Start listening more. Listen to them twice. I don't know if that helps.
What? No.
Well, thank you very much, Ethan, for being a supporter of the podcast. We appreciate it.
All right, you ready to get into this?
Yeah, I like this because this is an episode where I go, well, that's a different reality.
That is actually,
and you're gonna be like, you know what, you're right. That is.
All right,
you can't get mad at me about it.
Before we get into it, Dark Matter season 1 just ended back in June, so it is still pretty new. Just want to say, watch out. There is going to be
spoilers.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be spoilers. Hopefully, you've read the book. If not, well, the show, we'll get into it, but follows the book pretty dang well. I will point out a few differences here and there, but...
For this episode, Josh is going to be the resident expert. You've seen it. You've read it. So when it comes to some hard-hitting questions, maybe something I don't understand, you'll be like, oh, there was a difference. We're definitely going to go to you. But let me ask you this. What is Dark Matter? If you were to wrap it up in a nice, easy show, nice, easy bow box for Yuletide, what is Dark Matter?
Dark Matter is the, I think, newest sci-fi original. Well, I can't really say original. It's based on a book, but the newest sci-fi show.
There's a lot of shows that say
yeah.
Netflix original, sci-fi original, Fox original, whatever it is. And I'm like, but that's not. It's just like the third, whatever.
Yeah. Well, okay. So it is considered, I think, the newest sci-fi series on Apple TV. The best way to explain it would be like a mind-bending thriller that takes you through the idea of what if. The entire premise, without giving anything away until we get into the episode 1, like if I'm explaining it to you, hey, you should read this book. A guy chooses his family over his career. He goes out for drinks with a friend, and then he wakes up and his whole world is different. His family is gone. What the heck happened is basically what he's trying to figure out. And that's all in the first episode. So, in the first chapter, really. you immediately, in my experience, I was immediately hooked reading the book. Immediately. I just, okay, I need to know what's going on.
And what's nice about this show, even before we get into the details of who wrote it and whatnot, like we already know who wrote the book, Mr. Crouch, he was heavily involved in the TV making.
Oh, extremely. Yes,
So,
yes.
I think that's what really helped it here.
I agree. Yeah. It's one of those that I told my buddy Jordan about it when he was driving home. Context. He lives out in North Dakota. So from here, Pennsylvania, to North Dakota is like 27 hours or something like that. So he downloaded the audiobook and he burnt through it in one shot. One straight shot. It was like 15 hours or something like that. And he texted me the very next day. He's like, that was amazing. It must have been if you could listen to an entire audiobook literally in one sitting. But that's what I would say as like a very brief, here's what it's about. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in, go episode by episode. We're not going to go detail by detail like we do on some movie breakdowns. We're going to just explain real quick, okay, here's what happened. Here's the main point of the episode. What did you think of it?
So what is the IMDb rating on this?
This show received a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb, which
pretty good.
A 7.7 in my opinion, especially with a sci-fi.
Well, apparently a 7.5 gets you canceled.
Well, yeah. Well, it's a TV show and it's sci-fi. You don't really see them get higher than a 7 usually because most people aren't big sci-fi nuts. A 7.7 I feel is pretty dang good.
Rotten Tomatoes, 83 critics, audience 83 as well. I'll give you my score right away. 8 out of 10. There you go. 8 out of 10.
I'm right there with you. I have 8 out of 10 written down. It's one of those that, yeah, it could definitely have a few different changes, make it a little bit better, but it was still pretty amazing how it was.
Absolutely agree. Director. Normally we give the director of a movie or TV show. This had plenty of directors, including people like Ron Murphy and Bruce McDonald. But there's somebody here that we might recognize. We haven't talked about her on the show before. Amanda Tapping did 2 episodes. Do you know who Amanda Tapping is? Do you know who she is?
I do. Amanda Tapping is, I can't remember her name. Is it Carter? Carter from Stargate SG-1 and I believe Atlantis.
Yeah, she did some episodes.
She did some
episodes.
Yeah, she was the main female character. We'll put it that way. Samantha Carter. That was it.
Yeah, so she directed 2 of these episodes, so I think that's pretty kick-ass. There's like 15, 16 different directors here. This is written by quite a few people as well. You can definitely look that up. There's about 16, 17 different people on there that also wrote it. But we got a score by Jason Hill, who also did Mindhunter, that serial killer show about the FBI agents, which they had 2 seasons and then that disappeared. I heard the director might be bringing that back. Maybe, possibly not. I don't know. That was a pretty cool show. It's kind of another one that I was kind of mad it disappeared. But let's get into the cast real quick. Before we get into the synopsis, let me run through this real quick before I let you run wild like you are in a WWE ring. Joel Edgerton as Jason Destin, a physicist who is unwillingly travels between alternate realities. He's abducted by his counterpart. We're going to call that person Jason 2. So for this whole entire episode, I will refer to the original Earth, where Jason is from, is Jason 1, Earth 1, Amanda 1. Jason 2 is from Earth 2, everything, so forth. So we'll go that direction just to try our best not to confuse the listeners. Jennifer Connelly plays Daniela Destin, Jason's wife. Alice Braga shows up as Amanda Lucas, Jason 2's girlfriend. I thought they were married, but this here says girlfriend. Oaks Fegley plays Charlie Destin. That is Jason Daniela's son. Jimmy Simpson plays Ryan Holder. You might know him as one of the McPoyles from Sunny in Philadelphia. And I'm telling you, this dude's the MVP of the show for me right here. I mean, this dude has slowly, ever since, what's that robot show? Westworld. Like, he's been killing it lately.
He was also in, I can't remember, what was it? Black Mirror and Psych.
Oh, that Star Trek episode of Black Mirror. Like that. Yeah, so good.
And he had a role, I'm pretty sure it was him. He had a role in Psych as like one of the, like kind of like an OCD detective type thing.
I think I might have saw something there, like a rerun somewhere.
It was brief, but yeah.
Yeah. Deo Okaniyi as Leighton Vance, Amanda Brugel as Blair Kaplan, Aina Brion as Dawn Lawrence, and William Smiley as Matt. I'm not sure exactly who Matt was. Oh, was that the bar guy? See the bar guy?
Yeah.
On the bar?
Yeah, he was the bar owner.
Okay. All right, so there we know who wrote it, we know who did the music, and we know who's in it. So let's talk about what happens in these episodes briefly.
So episode 1, we meet Jason Dessen, again, our main character, a physics professor living a quiet family life with his wife Daniela and son Charlie. One night, Jason is abducted and injected with a mysterious substance. He wakes up in an unfamiliar world where his life is radically different. He's a celebrated scientist, but his family doesn't exist. This kicks off the show's exploration of parallel realities and Jason's desperate quest to return to his original life. That is the synopsis of just episode 1.
Pretty deep.
It is. And that this is one of those shows that you got to pay attention. You can't be, fiddling on your phone. Like, I feel like if you...
I don't know, I did. I did. I still understood what was going on.
Well, I don't know. I just feel like you want to pay attention or you're going to miss some key things. Not like Severance, pay attention, but...
So what are your thoughts on episode 1?
My thoughts on episode 1 were that it is practically scene for scene, word for word, the book. And I absolutely loved it. I thought they did a fantastic job taking what I read and putting it into a visual aspect. And that being said, it grabs your attention. It's super, it pulls you in and you want to know what's next. And I loved it.
I instantly put myself in Jason 1's shoes.
Yeah.
I imagined how I would feel waking up in a strange world with a blurred memory. I think I'd be terrified and panicked, just to say the least. I like that it rips off the Band-Aid and just thrusts the show forward like right away. But it also like shows us half of the key characters right away.
Oh yeah.
It gives gravity to everybody kind of right away that doesn't give you the whole cast like episode 2. You learn more who some of the people are. But this one kind of just kicks it into gear. And as soon as the first one's over, you kind of look at the screen and go, what the fuck just happened?
Yep.
Like you see J2 and what he does to J1, but you're still going, what the hell? All
right, but a quick explanation for someone who hasn't read or seen. Jason 1 goes out to the bar to meet an old friend of his because his friend is a celebrated scientist. And then on the way back, he gets abducted by a guy in a mask at gunpoint and then eventually injected, and he wakes up and his whole world's different. So we don't yet know until the very end of this episode that there's even another Jason involved.
I thought I did earlier.
You don't see his face until well into it because he's wearing that like geisha mask the whole time.
Geisha mask?
Well, that's what they refer to it as in the book.
Oh, well, geisha's like Japanese, and he definitely
yeah,
sure.
You're right. And the show is more of like just a very plain mask.
Halloween mask. Yeah. It's I've seen a couple horror movies with the mask very similar. I was pretty sure, like, before like the 20 minutes of the last 20 minutes were over that I knew that it was another Jason. But maybe it's, well, I mean, again, I did see part of the trailer too. So
they start doing like this back and forth of like Jason coming home from the bar and apologizing because he's so late. And then another one waking up in like, and you start to put together, that's not the same guy.
Right.
And that's when we realize, okay, so Jason 2 is now in place. So what exactly happened here?
Yeah, that's what you're asking yourself when the episode ends. Like, what you saw, but you don't understand why it happened.
Right.
And that's what catches that's what the hook, line, sinker is, as Emily would call it. She got hook, line, sinker you in. Sinker you in. And then you're like, well, I gotta watch episode 2 now, just to figure out what the hell they said, and then maybe I'll quit it after that. But no, you don't.
So if you move into episode 2, you do find out a lot more.
Yeah, episode 2, Jason continues to navigate the alternate world where he learns he is a part of an experimental project involving a device that allows the users to traverse between different realities. Amanda, a mysterious woman who seems to know Jason well, guides him as he tries to uncover the secrets behind his abduction. What are your thoughts on this episode?
Beautiful and frustrating because, all right, so again, my perspective is different than yours. I knew it was coming with the show, but at the same time, it was frustrating watching him be so frustrated, not knowing what was going on and everybody treating him like, well, come on, man. You know what's up. No, he doesn't. It irked me.
I feel your frustration on that. I do. I think it'd be maddening not to fully remember how you got where you are, and you have like amnesia of sorts, and you're kind of scared. You're around people you don't know. And not only that, but those people that you don't really know are kicking your ass. Like, they're not being nice to you. Well, they're nice for like the first 2 minutes, and then they just start beating the shit out of you.
Well, So he basically wakes
It's
up.
like sadistic and odd.
Well, and it's not like he wakes up in some apartment. He wakes up on the cement floor of this giant lab, and these people putting him on a stretcher and wheeling him off, like while he's still almost completely unconscious, barely with it. He has no idea where he is. He has no idea what he's doing, and they don't get mean until he goes out the bathroom window and escapes. In the book, he goes out the bathroom window. I forget how he did it in the show.
He goes out a bathroom window, but it's at a completely different point.
Okay.
It's not here, I don't believe. I mean, Amanda, you get her to be kind of sympathetic here, but you still don't know exactly who she is. But she's like, I'm with you. Like, you're, you know, like it seems like these people know they are, but then they get really pissed off at him. They feel like he's fucking with them or something. And they're super mean.
Well, and we find out quickly, not only did Jason create this experiment, which, by the way, is in the shape of a giant cube with a door in the middle of the room, but he's the only person of, what'd they say, like 7 people?
It was a couple.
I forget now. Yeah,
it's definitely over 3.
Of multiple people who went into it to ever actually come back. And so that's why they're so frustrated.
They want to know where he was.
They want to debrief that what happened. Like, how did you get back? Where were you? What is going on, man?
I found it crazy that they were like in his face and didn't let him settle. Like they were pretty on him. Like, yeah. And like, dude, like,
well, the one scene they had
obviously he's not with it right now. You need to fucking hang out a minute, bud.
One scene they had him at like this, a table sitting across from each other.
Yeah, and his buddy's there, and
it's a glass room with like everybody who works there around him because they're so excited. Like, let the dude, obviously he's having some issues. Let him get reacclimated to wherever he was. Like, maybe it's like that movie I watched and where he wasn't a good place, but we'll get to that in a couple weeks.
Right. No. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that movie. Gotcha.
But you see what I mean? Like, they don't know where he was.
Yeah.
Maybe he was stuck in Never Neverland for the past, like running from Captain Hook.
Give him a cheeseburger and a beer to let him hang out a minute. Maybe he'll figure out. But then on the outer side, you got J2. He's just like, I'm going to slip right into this guy's life. I'm going to have some fun. Like right away, he's like, I'm going to have some fun. Oh, you're my wife. Okay.
I'm going to have some fun.
I'm going to have some fun. And he's kind of a dick, you know? And, I mean, you find out that this dude just like jacked this guy's life. You're not exactly sure why he's done it yet at this point.
Right.
Other than like, you're just a sleazebag for doing this.
Which I think is one of the most interesting parts of the whole book and show. This isn't your normal parallel universe story. This isn't your normal, alternate reality story. This alternate timeline, so to speak, is based directly on a single decision that was made.
Well, it's kind of a multiverse theory that I've even thought about in the past, is like every single thing that you do, whether you go left, right, up or down, back or forward, makes a parallel universe. It branches. Right. If I say yes or no to you, like right now, or if I pause or don't pause, boom, it just keeps going and going and going. Like it's just branching, which is kind of crazy. It's even more crazy than what Marvel did with the TVA. Like if you really think about, and this thing blows your mind about it, to think about the multiple reality theory that's out there. It's mind blowing.
There's a reality where we are the most popular podcast out there.
Yeah, but that was pruned. In this episode here too, so he does escape for a minute, and he does try to find his people. It's kind of a slower episode to me, but the ending's messed up. I did not like the ending. And that's the thing. They jam. When I was going back through this to try to write down my thoughts and remember what happened in every episode, they jam a lot into these episodes. When I was reading that, I was like, man, all that happened in episode 2? Yeah. That feels like 2 or 3 episodes worth of stuff. I was like, whoa, this person got, taken out like episode 2. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it moved quick. Very quick.
It does move. I mean, it starts off moving quick. We'll talk a little bit about the middle, but episode 3. So
episode 3, Jason learns more about the multiverse, and he meets Layton, the head of the organization that sent him into the box. Layton 2 reveals that Jason's scientific contributions have made this entire project possible, further complicating the situation as Jason tries to escape and return back to his own family. This got a little intense at parts. Again, this show hit the brakes and then sped up, and then hit the brakes and then sped up. There was really no constant speed to it. Like the pacing was all over the place. But I feel like it worked.
It works better in TV shows than it does in movies. Because movies, you're like 2 hours in, you're like, is this movie going to end?
That's true. Yeah, I mean, TV show, you can accomplish one thing in an episode because you've got 6 more.
Right.
It used to be 20.
Pacing, I don't think is as big of an issue.
So what did you think about this? Like, where they actually sit him down? I believe this is where they realize, hey, you're not our Jason 2. You're a different Jason. What is going on here?
I think it's smart that Jason 1 decided to play ball with Velocity and learn about the box.
Velocity is the company.
Yeah, he finally decided, I'm just going to pretend that my head's just not right. He's going to lie, but he's going to play ball.
Yeah.
Jason 2 continues to be a sleazeball and get comfortable with his new life, but then he gets in trouble for lying as well. So you see both Jasons lying and seeing the consequences of those. You see that Jason 1 learns from Ryan 2 about the making of the drugs, that help him go through. And then he gets a little bit more help from Amanda to escape, to go into the box.
Well, and that's because we find out Ryan, in this reality, Ryan 2 made that drug.
Whatever's in the ampules is what he's done. It's to help you to obtain superposition so that you are not moving at all.
So in the book, it explains it as, they gave the example Schrodinger's cat, like living or dead. You don't know. It's both because you can't see in the box. Well, the idea behind this is that this box they built is the same idea, the same experiment, but you are going into it.
You can't observe yourself, otherwise you're not superpositioned.
No matter how meditative you can get, your brain still recognizes you as being in the box. And this drug was supposed to break your consciousness away from your physical awareness, so that you can go into superposition and enter this midsection, like a purgatory type deal.
It's almost like the mental version of the scientific absolute zero. Yes. Or you can't have absolute zero because if you observe it, then it's moving, and therefore it's not at zero. So you can't go to superposition because you're observing yourself, And that it's the fact that they've taken this simple scientific idea and this writer, Crouch.
Blake Crouch, yeah.
Yeah, Blake Crouch has taken this simple scientific idea and made this. I mean, it's only one book, but I feel like this is a whole entire, lack of a better term here, universe of things.
Yeah.
I think this
the fact that he could put this into any type of visualization, it was just fascinating.
I think this episode answers a few questions for us about the drugs, about the box, why it was made. And it has a really good cliffhanger at the end, with somebody gets a little bit of karma kind of comes their way. A really mean person, gets that 5-finger discontinued discount. Like, I think the fact that Dawn was such a mean person, Dawn too.
Yeah.
Like, she definitely, and I know it's a later episode, but I love how he goes like, how did you become a cop? Like when he finds Dawn 1.
Yep.
Because she's so mean. Like, this lady just like beats him for no reason.
Dawn is that
like Jason 2 must have been really mean to her.
Well,
he must have treated her
she's
like
shit. That ex-military, take no crap, head of security.
But that doesn't but that doesn't excuse her for, like, he says one wrong word and she just jacks his jaw. Like she's the reason that person died in the previous episode. She is like unhinged.
Yeah.
I did not like her character at all.
Yeah.
Only because she was such a sleazeball. And that takes us to episode 4, where Jason and Amanda find themselves stranded in a world plagued by a snowstorm, reflecting on the psychological underpinnings of the reality traveling process. Meanwhile, Jason's other half, Jason 2, continues to manipulate events in the original world, causing deeper fractures in both timelines. Basically, he's having to bullshit his way through stuff.
Yeah,
and he's starting to make mistakes because he didn't do the recon he should have done.
Yep.
How'd you feel about this episode right here? I mean, this is almost midway through the season.
Very intrigued. So, yeah, like you're saying, the last episode ends with them getting into this box, taking the drug, and going into, like we said, like the absolute zero area. And it's depicted as a long hallway of doors, and you don't know what's behind any of the doors. You find out quickly that it's other, realities.
Yeah, now we're not just talking anymore in episodes. Now they're like, hey, we've talked about all this possible stuff, and you've seen some blurry stuff. Now we're going to give you the dessert. You've been a good boy for waiting 3 episodes. Now we're going to give you that fall cake.
That's how they end up in this snowstorm of a world. And this episode gave me anxiety, which is weird because even though I knew what happened, which by the way, in the book, it's much more graphic, certain parts of this episode. But even though I knew it was going to happen, I knew how it would get resolved. It's a television show. They change stuff all the time. I wasn't sure if they were going to take the same route, if they were going to tweak stuff. It was so interesting to me and so well done how they can take the exact same, environment, I guess, and just change it based on the world that they go into. Because I don't know if it's said it in the show really or not, but in the book they make it clear that this box is present in the exact same location
yes, they do
in
say
every
it in the
world.
show. It's in a warehouse. It's in a field. It's like almost in a swamp. It's
Underwater.
Yeah.
Like whatever is happening on that planet at that time, that's where it is. What'd you think about the whole thing?
Well, the episode shows just how crazy this shit can get. From the endless corridor to the dangerous worlds you can get pulled into and possibly killed in. You know, we get to see Jason 2 begin to impose his way in the world of Jason 1's world. You know, and that causes some ripples. You know, finding Leighton 1 and setting off some stuff with that. You know, that guy starting like an addiction of sorts for that Leighton, I thought was kind of cool. Because now we're starting to pull everybody, like the main cast, we're starting to see like everybody on both sides, which was nice.
And at this point, we now know that Jason 2 100% knows how to navigate this thing.
Yeah.
But we don't know how yet. We still don't know how he's doing it.
This is the first part of the mystery. Now we've solved the mystery of what the box is. Now we're solving the mystery of how do we drive the box. You get an emotional shift that Amanda and Jason 1 go through when they go world to world. And a lot of these worlds they go to and the shit they go through like would crush just normal people. Like, and you can kind of see somebody later on kind of lose themselves, which brings up a question I have later on. I think it was a good way to end the episode with them figuring out how to use the box, sort of. Like they're starting to get it. And he's like, I might have an idea of how this works now. So you're not going to sit there for 6 episodes with them trying to figure it out. I mean, you do, but
you don't.
Yeah, it's like the specifics of it. It's like, oh, I know how to operate a car, but this one's a stick. Well, now what do I do? Or this one has air brakes. What do I do? Or this one's, it's like you understand the basics of it, but you still need specifically to know how to operate.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I know how to run a car, but the first time you ever got in a car with a push button, you're like, where's the key? Where do I put the key?
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. I know what a car is, but how do I start the car? And it's kind of that situation in a way.
Well, and I found this episode interesting too, because they really start to show the relationship between Amanda and Jason building, Amanda 2 and Jason 1 building.
Well, it helps that they're both polite people.
It does, but we still don't fully understand what that relationship, like Jason 1 still doesn't fully know what Amanda 2 was to him, which I don't even know if we ever seen Amanda 1.
She comes out and says in so many words, like, we were together.
Yes, but I mean, like, they never really go into like heavy detail about, like, she doesn't push it.
I think that's gonna be season 2. I think we're gonna get more flashbacks or some of them, maybe. They don't really do flashbacks in this one, but
not really, no.
Yeah, and I appreciated that because I hate a show that consistently flashes back and forth.
Yeah.
And what's cool about this show too is every time they jump from Jason 1 to Jason 2, you get that snap.
Yeah.
That they do.
Do you know what that reminded me of? It reminded
Another
me,
TV show I've watched when I can't place.
It reminded me of Lost.
Yeah, that's okay.
Whenever they would you'd always hear that when it would go back in time or forward or parallel. Like there was that very distinct sound that you knew, okay, this is different.
Yeah, she has shows like The Walking Dead that always go back, that were there for a while. It was like every episode, this is Johnny back then, this is Jimmy back then, this is Susie back then. Like that, like you're not getting that here. And I don't, it's more of a mystery. I'm getting it is in pieces of who this person is and where they were and what they did, instead of this whole entire episode is what Amanda was for a whole thing. And I don't need that. And I appreciate it. This episode showed the fortitude of her characters for good or bad. It shows that they're not morons. These are actually smart characters that make smart decisions. So many times you watch a TV show, you go, why did they do that? They're supposed to be this super intelligent person that not only with book smarts, but with street smarts, like why would they make the decision? I feel like I didn't get that a lot in the show. I'm like, that makes sense that they said that they did that. They pick up on things that are just common sense, and I liked it.
Well, and they kind of
start episode.
They start to hint at the little interesting dynamic and issue that Jason 1's just trying to get home. Like they drive that home pretty hard.
He's got one goal.
Well, and this is
no goal.
I think this was the episode where they really started to push where Amanda 2 was basically saying, like, I don't have a home anymore. We had
Right.
to escape my home or they were going to kill me. I have literally nowhere to go.
Is this the one where Jason 2 quits his job?
Yeah, I believe it is.
I think it's this one.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jason
He
one's
goes
a
out,
teacher.
Buys a car.
And he goes into the class. He notices everybody's on their computers, on their phones, and he kind of argues with some students. And he goes, fuck it, I'm done. And he just quits.
Yeah.
Just quits. I'm not dealing with this. Nope. You guys are all going to fail.
And
I'm
that's
out
the
of here.
problem. He was a super well-respected, award-winning scientist in his reality, and then he comes into this reality where nobody really cares.
Yeah. It's not that people didn't like Jason 1 or respect him at all. It's just like he was just a normal person.
It's a different dynamic.
Yeah, he wasn't the superstar, you know.
Right.
And he's trying to, at first he's like, oh, that frosting, that cake tasted good. But now it's like, man, my stomach's starting to hurt a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't eat those 2 scoops of ice cream on top of it.
All right, so in episode 5, we have Jason and Amanda continuing their reality hopping journey, encountering a world that has been completely ravaged by something. Yeah, they basically show up in the warehouse of the, what would you call it, lab, I guess.
The velocity lab of that reality.
But it's just like a dystopian world, not in like, oh, nuclear bombs. No, like something ripped this place apart. They reunite with Blair, who was one of the, I guess you could say, travelers that went in before Jason 2 in World 2. So they found somebody. They actually found somebody who survived all this.
She went in after Jason disappeared, didn't she? And
Is here right before or right after? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we find out that she's been surviving in this place for, I mean, what is it, at least 6 months? I think they said 9 months.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
The episode really underscores the toll that the traveling can take on a person. Like, it shows Blair's emotional and physical consequences of not really having a home, not really knowing where you're going or what's going to happen.
Yeah, and she don't want to leave. She's like, I ain't leaving.
It's because she's afraid to leave. She doesn't know where she's going to end up next. And meanwhile, we find Jason 2 building essentially a wall, a box, a cinder block box around the box.
Yeah, he's decided, I'm going to stick with this world and I'm going to seal it up. And for better or worse, this is where I am.
He realizes that he figured out how to, like you said, drive or pilot this thing. Jason 1 is him. He's going to figure it out eventually. I need to make sure he can't get through if he does.
Definitely. And this is around the time that he's having counseling sessions with Amanda 1.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Amanda from Earth 1. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She was a counselor.
Yeah, therapist. And he's really mean to her at one point. And she's like, you can leave now. No, now.
Yeah.
You can leave now. He's like, all right, man, whatever.
So I feel like this is about the area where the book and the show kind of really started to split. I mean, it still followed the book really well, but there were definitely a lot of things in the show that weren't in the book. Like,
So they added a little flavor. Was it for better or worse?
well, so in the book, Leighton never follows them in. Which, by the way, yeah, when they escaped Earth 2, Leighton.
Yeah, Leighton 2 goes in.
Yeah. Jason 2 never tries to teach Leighton 1 how to go in. He doesn't
teach anybody.
I don't think
from Earth 2.
I'm trying to think. I don't believe he tries to block it up in the book. I don't think he ever really goes back.
Well, he uses like Leighton 1 from Earth 1, like his money, because he has like an investor now and he's going to go in business with them. And the guy shows up, he was like, hey man, I'm Leighton's guy, like the concrete dude. I didn't know that guy was there first. And I was like, oh, they cast a Mexican dude to do the concrete work. Okay. I think he was Latino. Hopefully I'm wrong, but like, I was like, well, come on, man.
He swung by Home Depot.
He was a pro. It was a Lowe's pro.
You know, to be fair though, that concrete tomb that they put around it was it was clean.
It looked pretty good. I mean, yeah.
It was clean.
Good enough for somebody to break through on their own, I suppose.
But yeah, like this is where things really started to get a little bit different. And so this is where, for me, watching it, I really had no idea what's coming next.
So you're like a first time watcher at that point. That's
yes and no.
I think
because
it's
like I know where it's supposed to end up, but seeing that they're making these subtle changes. Okay, well, how much is, because I mean, look at the show in general. These subtle changes, how much of a ripple effect is that going to have by the end of the book, quote, season? Are they even going to end at the same place?
Were you afraid they were going to do like a George R. Martin where he's there, but yeah, we're listening to him, but we're just going to do our own damn thing?
Very much so, which I can talk a little more on that later, but I was getting really concerned, but not because I was still really enjoying the show.
Okay.
And I'll say it, nobody in this show was cast poorly. Everybody played that part 100%, and I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think anybody phoned it in on this show.
No, and I
I'm
think
not
Jennifer,
going from the book standpoint. I'm just saying, like, everybody, the bartender seems like the bartender.
I think Jennifer Connelly might have been the best in the show. Like, just playing different versions of herself.
Yeah, she does.
Really,
there's a lot of
really
versions
clean
of her.
cut. Like, this person is not this person, but it is. Like, she did a really good job playing different versions of herself.
Okay. Well, you know, we get moral hopping here, you know, back and forth. You know, and we get Jason too so scared that, you know, that he's gonna like lose stuff. You know, like, and he does the whole concrete thing. It was kind of a middle of the road episode for me. I wasn't really huge on this one. I felt like it was kind of spinning its wheels just a little bit.
This was definitely a setup episode.
Yeah. I mean, it was good to see where Dawn 2 showed up. You know, like because they talked about her going in the box. So like, where'd she go? So it was good to see that.
Blair.
Yeah, Blair 2. I apologize. Yeah, I wrote down Dawn 2. I meant Blair 2.
Who's Dawn?
I don't know, but I wrote down Dawn.
Who's Dawn?
We don't know. She went in the box.
Oh, man.
Well. Yeah, so we see where Blair 2 ends up.
Well, and that's kind of the thing, too, is because they mention all these people that go in. We never see any of them.
No.
Like, we don't know where they ended up.
No idea. Yes, I don't have much to say about this one because I don't remember a ton of it. For some reason, this one just didn't stay in my memory that much.
Because you're on your phone.
I don't know. Maybe because this one was boring and I was kind of checking out of this episode.
Maybe.
I think this one had a lot of talk. And yes, the emotional stakes between Amanda and Jason 1, trying to figure this stuff out, like, it's still getting frustrated. You know, it did have some energy, but not enough for me to. It was probably one of my least favorite of the episodes.
Was it a necessary episode, though? Do you think it was needed for the future episodes?
It probably was. Yeah, if I go back and I see all the pieces, it probably was.
I guess what I'm trying to ask is, like, do you feel it was filler, or do you think it was a setup episode that...
I think it just had a lot more talk in this one.
Okay.
Just a lot more talk that... I guess I already knew their emotional stand at this, like, where they were, and they just kept talking about it over, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You're sad, and you're unhappy, and you want to go home, and this dude's sad about this, and everybody's just kind of sad in this episode, kind of angry in this episode. I'm like, okay, I get it. I feel like they just hammered it home a little bit too much. But it's okay because we get to a better episode in episode 6, where Jason 1 and Amanda grow more desperate to find their way home, and as they're hopping around. Meanwhile, Jason 2 tries to fit into Jason 1's life, but finds it unsatisfying even more than what he already did. And I guess we were a little bit confused. We talked about him sealing up the box in the last episode. And that's what happens when you have an 8-episode, 9-episode series, and you're trying to remember every single thing that happened. You can look at synopsises, but sometimes in your head, like, I could have sworn that happened in an episode, yada, yada, yada. So
imagine if we were covering a 22 episode
of Star Trek, like
of anything.
Yeah. So he didn't seal up the box in the last episode, so I apologize for anybody confused that's trying to keep along that already watched the show, but he didn't seal it up. So in this one here, Danielle is like, man, something's going on with him. She starts talking about finding out about his drug use, and she reaches out to Ryan 1, the guy that was going to give Jason 1 a job. And Ryan's like, let me look into this. He finds out that, like, this is something that he could have created. He confronts Jason 2 at one point, and he's like, dude, it's like you were in my head. Like, what is this? So just like he did with Leighton, Jason 2 decides, okay, Ryan, I'm just going to show you what's up. Takes him into this really kick-ass world, and he abandons him. He's like, you know, I'm going to go take a picture. Just stay right there. Shuts the door on him, lets him there. Well, he can't let Ryan, he knows Ryan's super smart. Can't let Ryan figure out a way back. So that's when he decides, on top of everything else, that he's going to seal up the box. So I guess we just kind of spoke early, but yeah, then he concretes the box over at the end of the episode. Ryan 1 is stranded.
Well, and he knows that his Ryan is the one who originally made that compound to allow the box to even work.
Yeah, so if that guy was smart enough,
eventually this one will be.
Enough. Yeah. And this one seems to be Jason 2 knows that his Ryan is kind of like a schlub. It's kind of like they parallel paths, where in the original world, Jason 1 went the path of professor. It's about this Pavi prize. One gets the Pavi prize in one reality, and the other one gets the Pavi prize in the other reality.
So we know that this one is been using his brain more. I mean, he is a lot smarter. He's probably going to figure this out a lot quicker.
Yeah, and I got some theories on that way later on.
Okay.
Yeah. So what did you think about this one?
Amazing and heart-wrenching at the same time. It was amazing because we got to see a world that didn't horribly suck, first off. I mean, from a distance, but still. But it was heart-wrenching because when he locks Ryan there, he leaves him there with no way back. And it's just like, what do you do? You have absolutely no knowledge of this new place. You have no money. You have nothing. You know nobody.
He's in the field across the river. Oh, by the way, this is all Chicago. These are all different versions of Chicago.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I forgot to mention that. Do that one where the giant waves were coming and just crashing everything down. The ocean's scary, okay? I know we talked a future episode, we're talking about some scary things, but like the ocean's scary.
What got me though was the episode, or there was a world they opened the door and they almost got sucked out right away. Something happened that the Earth's atmosphere was destroyed. And it was like the sun is right there beating down on it. There's no atmosphere. Everything's getting sucked out and they have to shut that door fast. Like, it's terrifying because they even say like, you don't know what's on the other side of the next door. Like,
yeah, until you figure out how to operate it. Yeah. Jason too, in this episode, he's starting to fuck up like real bad, and he's really having some trouble getting out of his mistakes. So when he realizes that Ryan is too close to Danielle, because why doesn't he just do like with Leighton? He's going to show him and like he can just get him outside. But I think he realized that this Ryan is not, he can't be pushed around like the Ryan, because the other Ryan we see him get pushed around really easy. But you could tell that version of Ryan was really under the thumb of Jason. So, I understand why he did what he did. I don't know if I would have made the same choice. I understand his meaning behind it, but he's just really...
Well, do you think his plan was to leave Ryan there all along, or do you think he decided that in the moment while he was there?
I think he thought about it as soon as he was going to take him to the box.
Okay.
I think at that bar, he decided, just in their conversations, I was like, I got to get rid of this guy. This guy, he knew he could manipulate Leighton of that world, because that Leighton's just like, I just want to party. I just want to have fun. And this is awesome.
Right.
Whereas this Ryan's too smart for his own good. He probably wants to do something with this. And he's a nicer guy, and he's too connected to Daniela.
Yeah.
And those two together could really mess up his plans. So we got to get rid of one of them. And then seeing, the stuff between Amanda and Jason 1, man, they're starting to master it a little bit better, but they're running out of ampules. They're running out of time. Amanda's really starting, you could see her in this episode get really frazzled. You thought she was good for a minute, but now you can really see she's becoming unraveled. She might not want to continue doing this anymore. She's kind of getting the cold shoulder from Jason 1. She thought there for a minute that they were going to butter up, be 2 biscuits in a bun. No. He's like, man, I really want to, but I'm not going to. You're in the friend zone.
Yep.
She got friend zoned. I don't know if I was in his position. Yeah, I love my wife and I love my kid, but this is some extraordinary circumstances type stuff. And this chick is really pouring her heart out to you, and she's giving you those eyes. I probably would have made a different choice in that hotel room. That's me. Maybe I just got canceled for husband material. I don't.
Well, and it's difficult from her point of view, because from her point of view,
you're her Jason.
Yeah.
She doesn't think anything's going wrong there.
Right.
This isn't you're not just twins.
Well, that's just Daniela.
Up to a certain point, they were the same person.
Daniela has no idea that, she's been banging the wrong one.
Yeah. I mean, apparently his hips move the same way and everything.
His hips don't lie.
That's right. So this episode, I mean, you get the box with the concrete, the stuff that happens with Ryan at the end. This was a good episode, because this was, I was like, man, I think this might have been the episode too, where he argues with Amanda, the counselor too. This might have been the one where she tells him to leave, because there's 2 episodes of that. This episode here was just you know what, this is the direction we're going to go, and we're going to have some energy to it. And I thought this really, a lot of times in a series, you get towards that middle and it sags a little bit. Yep. I think this one yanked it right back up. I thought this was a very enjoyable episode. No,
I completely agree with that. I do. So we go from Ryan being dropped off at the end of this episode in the middle of the night, kicked out of the bus.
Goodbye.
Where could we possibly go from here? Well, in episode 7, we go back to that same world. But this time, it's Jason and Amanda finding it, because they're realizing to run this bus, to drive this box, it's all about their intentions. It's about, what they're truly focusing on. So they start trying to focus on positivity and happiness and, all that stuff. And this is supposed to be essentially like a utopia, like the perfect world. Well, perfect Chicago.
Yeah, it's not like, the world in Demolition Man, San Angeles.
Maybe it was.
The Chicago. Maybe we finally found out what happened to the rest of San Angeles.
Mystery solved.
I mean, we'll find out later after we're done with all this that this does connect to another movie. The writer said that it's in the same universe as another movie. So
in episode 7, in this episode, the concept of multiple Jasons becomes even more complex. We learn that each time a choice is made, a new version of Jason is created.
You go left, you get one. You go right, you get one.
Yep, and as Jason 1 continues his journey, he confronts more versions of himself, each with slightly different outcomes. The episode ends with Jason realizing that the multiplicity of his identities is making it increasingly difficult to return to his original life. Whoa.
Dun, dun, dun.
Some crazy stuff. It's also the episode, like I said, they end up in the utopia. They have some fun. The way they made it seem, they stay there for a while, like a couple days.
Yeah, she's like, let's just kick it for a minute.
Yeah, like they're sick of sleeping on the floor of the box.
And she's like, let's just stay here just for a couple nights. Like, come on.
Yeah, and then what happens?
Yeah, this episode, I mean, it gets zany. It gets kind of crazy. Jason 2, being, afraid of the cops because Ryan's missing. So Jason 2's got to figure out what he's going to do with that. And his plan, we're going to find, he just concreted up this box. So now he has to take a sledgehammer, break the box open. And he finds another Ryan who is a drunk alcoholic mechanic who had a DUI, and that kicked him off his whole path of getting the Pavi prize and being super smart. And so he drags him back, drugs him up, and doesn't even tell him what's going on. Just lets him in his apartment. There's been a detective snooping around, so he lets Danielle and this detective know, like, oh, no, I talked to him. He's in his apartment. He was on a binge in Vegas or something. I don't know. He was drunk and called me up, and I took him home. He's really into it. So Danielle is like very suspicious. She goes over there, and sure enough, he's like whacked out of his mind, but not just because he was on a bender, but because like the guy doesn't know where the hell he is. Like he's completely, and they're like, well, he's been on some drugs before, so he's probably on something. Like this Jason, this poor Ryan's like, what the fuck is happening? Because he cuts his hair and everything, shaves him. He like does the whole 9 yards on this guy. And then on the other side, you get Jason 1 and Amanda. They go to this nice utopian world. They decide to stay a while. They're going to kick their feet up. And Amanda decides she's going to make a hard choice. She's sick of this bullshit. She's like, I can't do it no more. You're on your own. There's only so many ampules left anyway. They're yours. My version here is dead and she's got good credit. I'm just going to take her life. Yep. And that shows you the decisions that people will have to make. Well,
and we even discussed it a little bit ago. She has literally nowhere to go home to.
No.
She is a nomad.
Back to the bug planet, back to the sun planet. Like what?
She's looking for a home and she found it. I mean, you cannot fault her for that.
What happens if they just write numbers on the door? Or do some sort of scratch a number on a door? Do you think that disappears when they go out and come back in?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You don't think you never find door 41 again?
I don't think you would, no. I think every time you come in, it essentially is it's a whole nother plane.
Okay. Just curious. I thought about that as I was watching this. Yeah, this show, it show's wild. This episode itself, I liked it because things just like really unraveled for everybody here in a way. Like everybody's was kind of getting comfortable where they're at, whether they liked it or not. But now it's like, no, Jason 1's now on his own. Jason 2 just had to do some crazy ass shit to cover his ass. Because even though he's super smart and from another universe, he can still get tossed in jail.
And he made a really dumb decision with Ryan. I'm sorry. That was just...
Like, that's the one you chose?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
The one that he could discredit the easiest.
I just talked about everybody having common sense. And then he does this dumb shit. But I thought it was a good episode.
He's getting desperate.
To me, when you get towards the end of a series, some of them really limp towards the end. You're like, listen, we have 2 or 3 episodes to go. What are they doing?
Yeah.
We know this somehow is going to end in a couple episodes. What's taking so long? Game of Thrones is horrible at that. Like, what are we doing here? This show here, episode 7, I think you're on the track. Somebody pulled the trigger and you're like, okay, now we're sprinting towards the end. This was like the first sprint of that. This was the first leg of the race. I felt like it had good energy and velocity. Pun intended, maybe. to get us moving here. I liked this episode. I did.
I did too.
Anything else to say on that one?
I did too.
You did too? Okay, say it again. You liked it so much. Okay.
So yeah, this episode essentially ends with Jason going back into the box. He's got a notebook. We forgot to mention that he's trying to describe his home world down to the pebbles. Like he thinks that if he can get
a description,
he thinks if he can get a perfect visualization of it in his head, that he's got to find it. And he does. He finds some very close to it.
Yeah, you see the tap sign. He's like, oh, it's the right sign, but the restaurant across the street's wrong.
Right. It's the littlest things that he's
that
like,
door
nope.
was red. I don't have a red door or whatever version it was.
Yeah. You're right.
Like things are so similar and so close, but yet just not there.
Yep. And then we move into episode 8, where I feel things just go kind of crazy.
We forgot to mention some here. Way earlier, I think it was like episode 2, talking about the common sense thing. When Jason does escape, Jason 1, instead of just, he does try to go to his home, but instead of acting like completely crazy, he goes to the hospital. I forgot about this. He goes to the hospital and he's like, maybe something's medically wrong with me.
Yeah, he actually did, like, legitimately not thinking.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to go to a CT scan. Maybe I knocked my fucking head. Maybe I got hit by a car. And that was like,
well, and they did say, like, oh, you're fine, but there's a very weird drug in your system.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, and then
something that we've never seen before.
Yeah, and that's when all his blurry memories come back. You know, we forgot to cover that. So Jason 1, you know, he's a very methodical thinker, breaks things down step by step through theory and practice, and you know, he might figure this out. Just maybe, I don't know, possibly. Yeah. So then we go into episode 8. We're getting towards the end of the season here. Multiple versions of Jason start colliding in some crazy ways. Meanwhile, Jason 1 is faced with even more versions of himself, each thinking that they're the real Jason. You know, he goes to a bar and he's like, is this my bar? He finally gets back to his world. The bartender's like, yeah, dude, I know you.
Matt's like, yeah, dude, where you been?
Yeah. He's like, that was fast though. And he goes, what do you mean? Now, there was some confusion because in this episode, it's hard at points to tell what Jason is what. Because now we're on Earth 1 with Jason 1, with Jason 2, Jason 3, Jason 4, Jason 87. So he goes into this bar, realizes there was already another Jason there, and then he finds another Jason who's like, I'm going to take care of Jason 2. And then you just start seeing all these different Jasons kind of pop up. Jason 2 has to deal with other Jasons. See, I thought when he got attacked behind the house, I thought that was J1 taking out J2.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't realize that was like Jason 40 or something. I didn't know what the hell was. I thought he instantly went back to his house. I didn't realize that.
Well, the problem was the Jason that attacked Jason 2 thought he was the original Jason.
Yeah. And the thing is, all these Jasons kind of have the same backpack, almost the same beanie hat. The one thing that I wish the show would have done was shown a wider variation of clothing. Even when we see them together, and I understand that they all sort of split off at certain points, but like, if you can show a world with no gravity, you can show a world that's a utopia, you can show somebody wearing some different colored sneakers and a different color, not black, gray, you know, whatever have you. Like, you can show me some different clothing. I don't know, that's my only very small nitpick, because at times it was confusing what Jason is in this scene.
Yeah. Who
is bitch slapping Jason? Which Jason is it? You know, maybe there's the Jason where he legally changed his name. He's like, my name's Dave. Like, why not? You know, like Jason. I am French.
So to try and clear this up for people listening who may not have read it, may not have seen it yet. I don't know why you're listening still, but thank you for staying around. Every time Jason 1, well, actually, technically Jason 2 would have done the same thing, but regardless, every time Jason 1 went into another world and came back into that limbo area, that decision, any decision he made in that world immediately spawned a parallel universe, another branch, another Jason who maybe he chose not to, you know, okay, quick, we'll jump back to episode, I think 2, 3, 4, whatever. Amanda almost dies in the snow world. Maybe the Jason, you know, there's a Jason who let his die.
Well, there's one that said, or he said, my Amanda stayed. And what happened to your Amanda? And he replies, she died.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great example.
I think I was at the bar. He's like, yeah, she didn't make it.
Right. So every single decision made spun off another Jason. So essentially there's an infinite number, because every decision that spin-off Jason made would spin off another Jason, and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah, Loki needs to get up in here and like wrap some shit up.
And
like,
it gets nuts. And
it's wild.
We find out that these Jasons all logged into the same email account.
Yeah, way later on we find out. Yeah.
Yeah, and set up a chat room where they give themselves designated numbers.
Yeah, but they all are answering the same answers a couple times.
Yes, because they're all essentially the exact same person who made one decision different.
You get like a Jason. Okay, in this episode, you are following Jason 1 and you are following Jason 2, but there's a point in the episode where you think it's Jason 1 for a second. You think he has the family protected and he gets taken out by another Jason and you're like, wait a minute, what the hell is going on? And then actual Jason, like the true prime, I should just call him Prime Jason, shows up. The OG Jason shows up and he's like, get in the car, you know? But then as they're driving away, you see like 15 like Jasons, 8, 10 something Jasons running down the street and driving,
coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, like what? Like, yeah, we have some other movies and shows to talk about that are similar to this, but it was wild.
It was.
And then they're like, to get away. Now, before that, there's a point where Jason gets himself arrested. He figures that this is the only way I'm going to be able to talk to her. I know she's going to pick me up for jail.
And I love that. That was right out of the book. He goes into a diner, lights up a cigar, and just becomes the biggest asshole to people.
And that's where the Dawn lady shows up. The mean Dawn. She's a cop.
She's a cop.
She arrests him. So when Danielle shows up, she's like, how do I even know? And he's like, just call the other Jason right now. And I'll prove to you there's 2 of us.
Yep.
Because at this point, he's not sure there's like 50 of them. He knows there might be a couple. She does. And he's like, so we need a code word. In case something like crazy happens, we need a word. You tell me what the word is. Then you ask me. That way you know I'm not an imposter. So many times in a show, I've seen clones or twins or some crazy shit happen. Like, why did they not give themselves a safe word? You know how many horror movies are like that? Wait a minute, which one's really the killer?
Right.
So I'm glad somebody was smart enough to finally...
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, the original author had a lot to do with the show. The way they did it, they actually made sense of, hey, all these other versions of me are going to think the same. I'm not going to make up the word. I need you to make up the word.
And it's the same as when they go to their safe house. He's like, I can't know where we're going.
Yeah.
One of you guys do, because that Jason is going to instantly think of where I would go.
Yes. So he ends up choosing, I think he has Charlie, his son, pick where we're going.
Yeah, it's one of his buddies' parents' summer house or something.
Yeah, something like that. So we got Jason 1 finally back with his family. We got Jason 2 pissed off and like fighting off Jason's coming to the house looking for the family.
Yeah, well, Danielle pushes him down the steps.
Yeah.
And then really, really mean Jason 44. I don't know, whatever.
444.
Yeah. John Wick Jason shows up. And he's like, you and I are about to have some fun, buddy. Like, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Oh, yeah. He gets all like hog-tied. Oh, man.
Yeah. And that's when you get not Dawn, the other lady, the short-haired lady shows up.
The cop?
No, the other one. The one I got she stayed on the insect world.
Oh, Claire.
Claire.
Yeah, Claire. In this world, she's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, where she shows up and she realizes there's more than one Jason. What the hell is going on?
Yep. But
the bartender saw it too, but the bartender's like, I'm just going to stay behind the bar.
Jason's, no, the bartender, Matt's probably like, more drinks.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not getting into this.
If he was smart, he'd be like, oh, the price went up to $8 a beer.
Yeah, this episode went off the rails, bro. Like,
this is where, like I said, things just went nuts.
Completely crazy. This was a fun, confusing at the beginning, but not like I couldn't understand the dynamics of it, but just like I said, like the darkness of them fighting in the alley. I didn't know who was who, but it was fun. It was just a wild ride.
Yep.
And you're like, how is this going to end? You got like 60 Jasons, more probably popping up. What the fuck's going to happen?
Well, and I love how they used common sense. He's like, okay, Charlie, turn your phone off. Danielle, turn your phone off. No electronics. We're not taking our vehicle. We got to take someone else's vehicle, which was a bad idea in the end.
Yeah, we'll even see Jason's Jason 44, like he's on the computer and he's like, man, they're not using their credit cards. They're not doing this. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, like they were actually being smart about it.
Yeah, like every tactic you would think for a cop to find you that he was using was not working.
And I love, because I mean, we're getting into episode 9 now, so we can go ahead and read that quick.
Episode 9, Jason 1 and Daniela finally find some peace, hiding out with Charlie in a summer home. However, their respite, yeah, right?
Respite, but just say relaxation.
You take a respite, right? You take a break?
Their relief. Let's just say their relief.
I want to relieve it. Like a demolition man. Shit's all man. However, their respite is short-lived after other versions of Jason begin to hunt them down. I'm coming for you. The episode explores how the different Jasons are now vying for a place in the original Jason's family, such as shared custody, maybe, leading to conflicts and dangerous confrontations. Jason 2, realizing the damage he's caused, tries to atone by helping Jason 1 and his family escape. The season ends with Jason 1 and Danielle escaping, leaving 1 the possibility for more multiverse exploration and a potential second season. Okay. Yeah, like the ones like, let's just have shared custody when they're in the chat room.
Someone's like, what? No, and see, we just praised them for making good choices.
Yeah, but I mean, they're running out of options.
But then Jason 1 turns around and gets, they're away. They're gone. They got away. Now they got to figure out where to go. No, he feels bad because he realizes, talking to Daniela, that these are all basically him. They all just want the same thing. So he proposes a lottery. The winner gets the family.
No, he didn't propose it. Somebody else did, I thought.
No, it was him.
He proposed
in
lottery?
The book, anyways. It was him.
Oh, because in here he says somebody even proposed a lottery. The winner gets you. And
in the book, it was his idea.
Oh, and she goes, well, whoever wins is the loser. Like he's the first loser or something like that. He didn't say, he said that somebody, because he says shared custody and then he says the lottery.
Yeah.
So they don't pin the lottery on him in the show, I don't believe. If I'm wrong.
Okay.
You know, but I'm pretty sure he just says one of the other Jasons.
But then we find out.
Are you serious? In the book? In the book, he's the one that says the lottery?
I'm like 90% sure. In the book, he's the one that says about the lottery.
He doesn't even deserve her if he said that.
Yeah. And then we have freaking Charlie thinking with his dick, turns his phone on to text a girl, and guess what? They track it.
Dun, 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 dun.
At least in the book. That's how some of them find him.
Well, in this one, in the show, I think it was just the car.
Oh, in the book, yeah, that's how Jason 2 tracks them down, was his phone.
Well, because in this show...
yeah, that's right. The car was low-jacked.
It was low-jacked because it's the lawyer's car. But like, I like how Jason is on the chat room and he's reading all the comments and they're like, they're in the house right now. Like, all the other Jasons are staking out the house, waiting for the other Jasons to make a move.
That's how he realizes, oh, we're screwed.
Like they're everywhere.
And then I love it because then it's one of my, I know it's the finale, but it's easily my favorite episode, I think, because then he sees like out of the corner of his eye somebody outside move by. So he goes outside. And if you notice, he left the door open behind him.
Yeah, he's starting to get sloppy.
Like, come on. And then it goes from like this cool mind bending to just a massacre.
Yeah. Well, this Jason like kicks his ass too.
Oh yeah. Getting it, take off your clothes.
Yeah, right now.
Because it's Jason 2 in the book. Sorry.
Yeah, it's
in the book.
Jason 2. This is like Jason 99 or something.
Okay, in the book, if I remember correctly, he gets into a pretty decent fight, and then I believe it's Jason 2 that saves him, and then tells him, okay, give me your clothes, because I'm basically going to take over as you again. And he gets...
So they do like a slightly different trimmed down version of this.
Okay, yeah.
Where the guy comes in and he's going to kick his ass, but then like he gets caught in the middle of what he's doing.
Yeah, it's weird. I remember the
just get
book
shot
better than what I watched.
We see a lot of TV. At least
that is true.
It's hard to recollect every single scene in the proper order.
Well, and in my head, when I'm comparing them, they start to merge.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said this along with Silo was very close to the source material. Yeah, great fun episode. I mean,
do we spoil it? Do we say how it ends?
I mean, we already spoiled it when I read the synopsis.
Yeah, but do we say how it ends?
I did by saying that they go through the thing. The season ends with Jason 1 and Danielle escaping, leaving the possibility for more multiverse adventures.
But how it ends?
Yeah, they go through the freaking door. Don't fuck with me right here.
It's an amazing scene, in my opinion.
It was, but the scene before it with all the good Jason alternates.
Yeah, so they get
chilling in the warehouse.
They get to the warehouse. Weird. They make their way down to the box, and they find hundreds, I guess, of these Jasons all waiting for the lottery. because originally in the book, they all agreed to the lottery.
Oh, see here,
They were all going to meet there.
What I read in the synopsises, the recaps was just like these are the ones that didn't want to kill anybody or take over. They thought better.
No, these were all the ones who showed up. They were going to honor the lottery.
Oh my god!
And that's why, like, Daniela.
See, I'm glad it got changed for the better.
Well, and Daniela chose. No, I want my original. Even though these are technically you, I want you. I choose you, Pikachu. And there's a couple Jasons there who are like, no, why, no.
Well, there's a couple of them that piped up and he yells, he's like, hey, this is what we're doing.
Well, no, there were other Jasons who were like, no, chill. She chose this. We're going to respect this. What do all those Jasons do now?
We're not to the questions of the future now.
They go into the box, and then I love this because, again, they used common sense. And once they all get high,
he explains to him what to do.
He explains what to do.
Feel what your emotions are.
And he says, Charlie, you're picking. Not me. Not Daniela. You.
Yeah. That way nobody can...
There's no chance that they can track him because they have no idea what Charlie thought of. Because it's not about picturing...
You just wait till somebody figures out how to get alternate versions of the other ones again. Like,
they're going to.
Yeah, somebody's going to grab a Charlie somewhere, but...
Well, think about it. If you think about the entire premise of the show, there's
infinite versions.
There's a version where she chose a different one of them. So there's now going to be an infinite number of them, an infinite number of her and Charlie.
Somebody call Thanos. We're ending this. We're shutting this down.
This TVA branch looks like the end of a straw broom. It's everywhere.
All tangled up like a ball of yarn. I like here, though, that we also get to see Claire decide she's going to leave her insect world.
Yes, she does.
You see Leighton, he's like, this is awesome. And he's like doing some stuff. You don't get to see what happens to Leighton 2, though. You only saw him for a glimpse a couple episodes back where he was all kind of jacked up and sliced up like he'd been in a really bad world. But you also get a really good payoff where you see Ryan and Amanda meet up.
I forgot to mention real quick. In the book, there's a scene just like that with Leighton where he's like beat to crap walking down the hall, the infinite hall.
Uh-huh.
But it's actually Jason watching himself, another Jason walk by, just completely obliterated, like completely out of it. And they adapted that over to Leighton because in the book, Leighton didn't follow them. And that was the first time, I think, in the book, you really start to realize, like, they can cross paths.
And they acknowledge each other?
No. He basically just trudges on by, and him and Amanda are like, what just happened? Go that way, and he continues going that way, and they never see each other.
They see him, but he doesn't see them.
He does, but he doesn't really acknowledge them, because I think he's just, like, completely destroyed.
Okay. I just wanted to know if they actually knew that they passed each other, but okay.
But
so yeah, we don't get to see really what happens to him, which is a little bit frustrating, but
it'll come back.
You get the whole scene with Amanda and Ryan where she's like, do I know you? And he goes like, no, but we're going to like get to know each other. He's like, I've been looking for you.
But I want to know why.
Because he's smart as shit.
Yeah.
There's a reason that J2 tossed his ass out.
Yes, but in World 1, Ryan 1 had nothing to do with Amanda.
Well, here's the deal. In this utopian world, Jason Utopia is with Amanda Utopia, but Amanda Utopia died. Like maybe that they knew each other in college or something, they crossed paths, and he did some he's been there a couple weeks. He's been doing some deep diving into that. Whoever that Jason is in that world, he's been doing some deep diving into it, and he probably ran across her somewhere. I mean, it was very easily for Jason 1 or Jason 2 to run into her as a counselor on Earth 1. So this guy's a smart dude. I think there's a reason he tossed him out because he's like, this guy's just. I think he always knew from the beginning that Ryan was smarter than he was.
And that's not in the book.
Technically smarter.
That's not in the book at all.
Well, I think they had a high hopes for this getting picked up for a season 2. And they're like, let's leave some cliffhangers here.
Them meeting and stuff, that's nowhere in there. And the cool thing is the book ends right as they go through the door that Charlie picked. So they ended pretty darn close at the same spot, opening up for a season 2 or a book 2. And the simple fact that Blake Crouch, the author, is so involved, I feel incredibly confident that we're going to get a season 2 and a book 2. My question is, which is going to come first?
The TV show. That's the one that makes money.
I don't want that. Because then whenever they do that, then the book starts to follow the show.
I didn't know he was going to write a book 2. I thought he was just going to go a show. I didn't know there was.
I mean, I assume they're going to make another book, just like Ready Player One. the movie came out and was so successful because of the book, and then Ready Player 2, the book came out, and I guarantee they're going to make a movie about that eventually.
I didn't think the movie was that popular or that successful.
Well, among like the geek crowd.
Yeah, but box office, I don't think it was that successful. I don't know if Apple's going to sit around and wait for him to write a book. We're like, listen, we tried to wait on George. Some people did, and saw how that turned out. We just had to make our own, you know. And then the fact that Blake says he's going to be involved with the TV show. Maybe he's going to write it as he goes.
Maybe.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of times you get a movie or TV show, and then you like the novelization version. You know, we did that with Judge Dredd. There was a comic book version and, you know, all that stuff.
I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens next.
Well, let's talk about some similar TV shows and movies. Tell me if you've watched any of these and just a very quick take on them, and I will give you mine. Sliders, which follows a group of travelers who slide between parallel universes, each with its own unique alternate reality. From back on Fox.
I watched that 90s. An incredibly long time ago, like as a, you know,
I saw a couple episodes.
I watched it when it was on, you know, television.
Jerry O'Connell.
What?
He was the main guy.
Oh, okay.
Jerry O'Connell. He does voices in Star Trek Lower Decks. He's married to Rebecca Romaine, I do believe, right? And she's on Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So they're two Star Trek people.
Okay.
Yeah. Star Trek connections. His Dark Materials, based on Philip Pullman's trilogy, this series explores parallel universes and complex themes like free will and authoritarianism, and it also has a polar bear where Ian McKellen does the voice.
I kind of want to watch it just for that.
Yeah, I thought the movie was kind of cool, a little confusing.
What's it called?
His Dark Materials. It was called. There's something else in that title. I think is what it was called though. The Golden Compass. That's not what this show's about. We're going to talk about parallel realities, like in The Peripheral, which is a recent show set in the future where a gamer discovers connections to an alternate reality in a foreboding future. I didn't finish it. I thought about it, and then I heard it was canceled, so I was like, what's the point?
I got through...
It was extremely confusing, the first couple episodes. I got through
half of the first season, and then I found out it was canceled, and I kind of faded off.
We did the same thing. I mean, it was cool how he killed all those guys in the car when the sun came out, when the bulletproof cars. Like, that was cool.
I've read the first quarter, maybe, of that book. And you thought the show was hard to follow? That book is ridiculous.
I remember the creator saying that people in today's society, it was something to this effect, and this isn't word for word, but something about the effect that people aren't smart enough to handle like the density of his book and the idea of it. And that's why the show got canceled, because people couldn't understand it enough. And I'm going to say right here, I knew it was a game, and I knew she was going into the game, and that was a version of what was going on. But as far as it explained to me that it was an actual alternate reality, I wasn't getting that.
It was the future.
I knew it was in the future.
Yeah, it was setting her consciousness into the future. Yeah,
it was just hard to follow. It's not that I couldn't understand it. It was just like the way you were explaining to me wasn't like going through. I was like, you had too many questions, not enough answers.
You know what? The way that the hillbilly ex-Marines or whatever they were.
Oh, that part was cool.
They took on that special forces team with the
you just straight
the cloaked Audis.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
That was like episode 2, I think.
Yeah, they had some fun stuff in it. It's just once you got in the game, that's surprisingly is when it got boring.
Did you get to the episode where you find out how the one guy got paralyzed?
No.
Or not paralyzed, but lost his legs?
That guy was funny, though.
It was interesting. Yeah, it was very interesting. But yeah.
We also have What If, an animated Marvel series that explores alternate realities, where, we all know what If is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which to me, this one was kind of, because there's so many versions of Spider-Man everywhere. So that in this show, I think, had a lot of similarities where all these different choices and all these different things happen made a different Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man just has to be there. Like Jason's sort of a constant, and it seems like Spider-Man's a constant.
A Nexus being.
Yeah, he's the Nexus being. You brought the shittiest Jason of them all. An Anchor. He's Jason Anchor.
Oh, that's
Jason.
it. Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once I did not see, and I've been thinking about it. I just haven't got around to it. A mind-bending film about a woman who discovers multiple versions of herself across alternate realities. I've heard people say this movie completely sucks. I've heard people say this is the most amazing movie in the last couple of years.
Interesting.
I know. I think it won some awards or something. Had a great cast, but
never saw it. But
Inception, exploring the dreams within dreams within dreams.
Just kidding. I've seen it.
Did you see it? Or maybe you're in it right now.
Whoa.
We don't know. Like, let's get that little thing to spin around.
Did the top wobble at the end?
It's like the end of X3, like did the chess piece move?
Yes. Yeah,
You know?
it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, it was like you guys were ripping each other off. And then just a few I wrote down. The One, martial arts science fiction film where Jet Li battles alternate versions of himself. He's trying to steal their power to become the One. He's, you're not the he's like at the end, he's like, I'm not your bitch, you're my bitch. And then he starts fighting himself up the mountain.
So is he Neo?
He might be. I think he could have beat Neo, maybe. Rick and Morty. We know Rick and Morty. Dude, they're the way they storytell a cartoon about the alternate versions of Rick and Morty are just wild. And I love it. Fringe. I don't know if you ever watched Fringe. It's follows a team of
Loved it.
Yeah, follows a team investigating unexplained phenomena, often involving alternate reality. And that there shows the choices made.
Well, and that was one of those shows that it started out as like, you thought it was like a cop drama type thing.
Like a cop X-Files thing.
And very quickly turned into an entirely different monster altogether.
Whatever happened to the lady that played Astrid? She was a phenomenal actress.
Like, I don't know.
Whatever happened to her, man? I can't even say words right now. Like, it's...
Yeah, I don't know.
She did anything with her career. I was like, that girl
I know that
be somewhere.
Denethor's in it.
Oh, yeah. You know, he wasn't eating tomatoes and things.
No, he was crazy.
Yeah, John Noble. What a great actor.
Yeah.
I watched a movie not long ago, and there was a guy, and there was bugging in the beginning, and I said to Emily, I said, who is this guy? I know this guy. And then all of the end, I was like, that's Lincoln from Fringe. Because I don't think he did a whole lot after Fringe.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Star Trek. Obviously, Star Trek, you know, In a Mirror Darkly has the alternate version where Starfleet is bad. They're like the ISS and Vulcans are mean. So I don't know if you know this, but in First Contact, Vulcans come down to the planet. They can walk out of their spaceship, and Zephyr Cochrane, the guy who creates the warp drive, walks up and shakes the Vulcan's hand. Well, in the dark version, Vulcan does the same thing. Zephyr takes out a gun and shoots him. And then they just loot the Vulcan ship. So that's how that alternate reality starts.
I feel like that's how reality would start here.
Yeah, like, oh, you got some cool shit in there, man. It was only some spinners. You got spinners? You got the spinners? Okay. Did you buy those at Walmart?
Oh, look, a fidget spinner. I have a few here for you.
Yeah, what do you got? What do you got? Counterpart
is a show from 2017 to 2019 starring J.K. Simmons as he follows...
Spider-Man? That J.K. Simmons?
That
was the Spider-Man guy?
Yeah.
The guy from Whiplash?
Yeah.
Okay.
A sci-fi thriller starring J.K. Simmons and follows a man who discovers a parallel world that exists as a mirror to his own. Both worlds diverge due to an experiment gone wrong, and the characters must navigate the political and personal complexities of interacting with their, quote, others from this alternate reality.
I feel like I might have heard the name, but I definitely never watched that show.
Well, it only lasted 2 years, so I don't know that it did that well. But I don't know. I mean, J.K. Simmons, I might.
So that's two.
I might look it up.
That's two different things. He's been in alternate universe things where he was also, you know, the Spider-Man deal.
Yeah.
Damn you, Spider-Man.
Well, then I have Fringe. I know you haven't seen this. I'm pretty sure you said it was boring. Was The Man in the High Castle?
You know, I don't think I had the mental bandwidth at the time to watch a thing where Nazis won. Well, I already saw a Rutger Hauer movie about it, so I was like, why don't I TV show
I knew
about
it was based on a book. And I knew it was the idea that, like, what if the Nazis won World War II? I didn't realize it played with, like, in the show, it plays with different
I saw it
realities.
on a list of things when I looked at this stuff up, but I didn't include it because I didn't watch past episode 2. So
Gotcha. Okay. And then I did have Loki written down because, I mean...
Yeah, and then Multiverse of Madness. I mean, I didn't... Yeah. Marvel's got multiverses everywhere. Like, that's just what they're doing. There's multiverses inside the omniverse.
Well, and according to Deadpool, it's over, people. And Deadpool and Wolverine, he even says, like, this whole multiverse thing, he's like, it hasn't worked since Endgame.
It's over. Behind the scenes. We got any behind the scenes for this? What do you have? Because this is such a new thing. We discussed that that's probably why we can't find a lot of trivia behind the scenes about this show. Really,
the only behind the scenes thing I could find was that the actor who played Jason, what was it, Edgerton? One of the reasons he took the role was simply because he was incredibly excited at the idea of getting to play multiple versions of himself. That's literally the only thing I could really find.
Yeah, I didn't really find anything at all.
All right, let's make stuff up then.
Well, let me ask you this before we get too much farther.
Okay.
If Adam Sandler,
oh jeez,
was in this.
Hmm.
Not a different version of Adam Sandler, but, you know, if Adam Sandler was to play a character, who would he play?
Oh, man, probably Ryan.
Probably Ryan.
Probably Ryan.
No, I'm going to replace him with the angry cop lady. I'm gonna have Adam Sandler just like he's trying. I could see
Leighton. I could see him playing.
No, because here Jason's just trying to talk to Leighton. Like, listen, I don't know what's going on. And bam, Adam Sandler just socks him.
She did keep hitting him.
Just socks him. No, you answer the question. I'm trying to answer, and she kicks him again. Like, dude, like he's trying to answer. But
No,
could you imagine like Adam Sandler just kicking the shit out of Joel?
Using his deep angry voice. Answer the question.
Get a Happy Meal.
Okay, that's a good casting for Sandler. I like that.
Who's your favorite character in this show? Like overall, I know we have some great. It was hard for me to narrow down, but who's your favorite?
Oh man, Matt, the bartender. No, if I had to pick, I would probably almost have to go with Amanda, because even though she got frantic at points, she was just the most level-headed and willing to go with it. Like,
I wrote down Ryan 1 and Amanda.
Okay.
Because I was like, Amanda, at first I was like Alice Braga. Now I don't think she's a bad actress. There's been some movies where I think she just kind of pushed to the side a little bit. Like they don't ever really spotlight her talent.
Gotcha.
I'm glad that this show showed me how good, and I mean, we did some Predator coverage, and she's great in Predators.
Oh, that was her.
We're on the alien planet. Yeah,
that was her.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, she's been in a good bit of film. Yeah. This show really showed her range, and you know, she could hit those high notes with her emotion, and I appreciate it. But Ryan, I don't know, maybe it's because like I said earlier, that character, that actor, and I don't even know his name. He's had a resurgence of late. Not that he disappeared, but like I felt like he always played like a nobody in a show. He was just like 2-bit character.
Yeah.
But like this guy's like, no, dude, I can like lead some shit. Like I have acting chops, you know, and maybe that's why I appreciated both of these characters, because the actors and actresses brought a high level to them. Favorite episode? Are you sticking with the finale? You said earlier that was probably your favorite one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with probably either 8 or 9. Like that.
I'll go 8. I'll go episode 8.
Then I'll go 9.
Okay. So the last 2 episodes are probably the best of the series. Though episode 1 was good.
Oh yeah, it was very good.
It was a good hook, line, and sinker.
Would you recommend this show to people?
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
I would recommend it to people that I know would take the time to try to understand it, that they wouldn't just check out after episode 2 and go, oh, nope, science fiction, nope, I'm out.
Like, is this something like, say, Joe would watch?
Joe would definitely watch it.
Really?
John would not. John would get bored 2 minutes in.
John, I know you're going to hear this eventually.
Yeah, I know you, John. I know John's audience, and this is not it. This is
but when they're talking about ice cream, 5 minutes in is when he's done.
Yeah, he's out.
Okay.
I think Zach would watch this, and I'm pretty sure that Cassie and Kyle would watch this.
Okay.
I know Kyle's kind of like us. He's kind of like, hey man, what's going on with reality? Like, what is reality? And when I hear somebody say shit like that, I'm like, dude, I got a show for you. You know?
See, I've recommended it to
He's huge on Rick and Morty, so.
And I think you are the only one that actually took the time to watch it. And the other person I would have recommended it to is actually the one who told me about it when he found out I was reading the book. And then he's like, oh, yeah. So and he's telling, I'm not going to spoil it. And he kept going. And after I read the book, I'm like, bro, you spoiled the whole thing. Like,
yeah, you know, sometimes I'll ask you something about a show or a book, and then you start telling me like, whoa. You're telling me everything. I am a guy, I watched a trailer's like a minute.
Yeah.
Minute and a half. I'm like 15 seconds in, I'm off. Because right there, I've decided, am I watching this or not watching this?
Gotcha, yeah.
And I don't want to know anymore. Yeah, I guess if I watch it all the way through, that there's a higher chance I'm not going to watch it. I don't know. What about your favorite alternate world?
Favorite as in I'd want to live there? Or
no, just like which one that they showed you were like, whoa.
The plague world. So in the book.
The insect bug world?
No. The one where it was like disease ridden. We didn't really go into that at all. We were just saying about some crazy worlds.
Okay.
In the book, they go into a lot more detail. They go to a world that it looks like it could be right, but there's nobody around. And they see like blue clothing and blankets and windows, and red. Blue means like, hey, there's sick people here, and red means like there's dead bodies. Come get them out, please, or something like that. I think it was blue and red. And when they go to Jason's house, he goes there and he finds Daniela absurdly sick from this, plague. Charlie is dead in the bedroom upstairs. They're waiting to pick him up, and she's awestruck because he went and rang the door. Or he knocked on the door, and she's awestruck because he died a few days ago.
Oh, but here he is.
But here he is.
Good.
And then all of a sudden, like, a Hummer pulls up, like these people in hazmat suits. And it's just, it gets crazy. And in the book, they finally do leave after being chased because nobody's allowed out.
I'm getting a feeling that there was a good bit of worlds in the book that we don't get in the show. And probably because it's a show and you can't show everything, or else you're going to have like a 12 episode. And heaven forbid, we have over 10 episodes for a TV show. Right? Son of a bitch. How dare you?
Archaic days of 22.
Oh my gosh. No way, man.
Back when you couldn't binge an entire season in one day.
I wouldn't want to live there, but the world that was kind of frozen over with a massive waves were destroying. It wasn't, I'm only saying it's my favorite world because I was like, holy crap, this is terrifying.
Well, dude, that's like.
And then the one where they're walking through and shit starts to tumble, like the buildings start to crumble down, and they have to run to get back to the box, and they almost don't make it.
Well, and it's amazing because they clearly say like it's all their emotions, like they were feeling desperate and this despair.
And then you get that terrifying, like that. I feel like that's the world I walk in all the time. No, okay. Let's talk about where you've seen a bunch of Apple TV shows. Now, I finally got the subscription. I was like, you talked about Severance and things, and I kept seeing these trailers for these Apple shows. I'm like, man, Apple looks like they got some good shit. So,
tell me, Apple is the new sci-fi channel.
Remember when they changed it to like the SYFY?
Sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah. How, as far as like Severance and other Apple properties you've watched, do you think this lives up to what we feel Apple should be doing? Or, I mean, we've talked pretty positively about this.
I do. I'm not going to give them any ratings because I would have to sit down and really think about it. But so in no order, Silo, Severance, Dark Matter, and then you jump over to like Mythic Quest, and they are just they're nailing every single one of these. I mean, it's Ted Lasso's Apple TV.
Yeah. Do you have me some Ted Lasso? And I didn't think I would.
I'm
watching soccer. Like, what are we doing?
But I mean, as far as the sci-fi
aspect, Liverpool. Yeah. They're number one in the league right now.
The sci-fi aspect of, like I said, like Silo, Severance, Dark Matter, they're nailing them. They're not doing it wrong. Like they are actually.
You just named off every single show that is fun, but also makes you think in a certain way.
Yeah.
Lasso makes you think about your decisions. This show makes you, still make about your decisions.
Well, yeah.
Alternate realities. Silo makes you think about the future. Mythic Quest makes you think about, how you could make your life fun. Like they all they're all poking at your brain, at your synapses, and trying to get some reactions out of you. And I appreciate that.
Well, and like we just said about Severance, that one really makes you think about like your daily life. Like, are you just a drone who doesn't really ever leave that work mindset is what I feel like it's getting across. And
we didn't say this, and maybe I'm wrong here, but that's almost like an alternate reality as well. In a way.
Kind of.
You're not actually in a parallel universe, but you have separated your brain, and your other part is living a different life.
And that was another show.
They know they are.
Another show I told you to watch that you were like, meh, and you turned out to love it.
I was afraid there was going to just be long and boring.
Which they are, but they're insanely just packed full of information at the same time.
What helps is the casting. And that a lot of these Apple shows, the casting is so good.
What's his name?
Adam Scott.
Adam Scott completely.
Even the dude that swears all the time, that was holding the buttons at the end, like that guy.
Yes.
Like, how did John Turturro, Christopher Walken in this? That's amazing.
Oh, and then you look you watch Silo. You have Rebecca, whatever her name is. She just completely nails the part.
Not from Lord of the Rings.
not from Lord of the Rings.
It's not Galadriel.
And then
but I'm just saying, there's
circle.
They need to recast. They could.
Well, I mean, Rob, was it McElhaney or whatever? Mythic Quest. And then we jump back over here to
And
Dark
the one dude
Matter.
from Sunny's in it too.
Well, then we come back to Dark Matter. I mean,
The other guy.
Jennifer Connelly is amazing.
Oh, ever since Labyrinth, man.
The dude who plays Ryan, that we can't remember his name, is amazing.
Sunny in Philadelphia. Is Apple TV just Sunny in Philadelphia?
No. Whatever his name is, again, I can't remember, that plays the Jason, the main character.
Joel Egerton.
Thank you. I thought he was the perfect casting. Completely nailed it. Like Apple.
So I'm going to say this about Joel Egerton just real quick. I'm going to cut you off. I've had issues with Joel Egerton throughout his career.
See, I don't recognize him from anything.
He did the movie with Tom Hardy where their brothers had to fight each other in the UFC. And it was pretty decent. Nick Nolte was the father. Nick Nolte, real man, now you gotta fight him.
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah. Is Nick Nolte still kicking?
I think so.
Yeah, I loved him back in the 80s, man. He's good shit. But then he did like this movie where it only comes out at night or something like that. And it was supposed to be like this prolific. It was almost like this long legs bullshit that everybody's raving about. Where like this monster's gonna come get you at night if you go outside the thing, and it was just so fucking boring. But he was also in the Thing prequel.
All right, so it looks
awesome.
Like he was, just to throw a few out there, it says most known for The Gift, Boy Erased, The King, The Great Gatsby.
Oh, he wasn't the Gatsby, wasn't
Dark
he?
Matter. He played the voice of a policeman in Bluey, the
it's some
kids cartoon. I just scrolling down through, I don't recognize most of these. He played Uncle Owen in the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show, apparently.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he
watch
did.
it.
It was good.
I mean,
he's up and down. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's his acting or if it's his
he was in Bright
choices. I think it's just sometimes he's very low. He's not a very energetic actor, and whatever he does, he never seems to have a lot of energy with his characters. He's just kind of like that.
Right. Well, I mean, like most of these are, they're well-known movies, but they're just not like that big bam blockbuster. I mean, like, Zero Dark 30, but
that's the thing. He's been in all these movies, and I don't remember that he's in some of these movies.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not saying he's not memorable, but this show made me like him a lot more.
Yes,
because I liked him in Thing, in Thing 2. They just called it Thing, the Thing. You know, but he plays like the main dude. He's like the Kurt Russell in that movie, so to speak.
All right.
Future of this show. So Crouch has said, as I get my cursor back, he said by the way of a social media post, thanks to everyone who tuned in for season 1, book fans and new fans, and of course our partners at Apple and Sony, my amazing producing partner, Matt Tolmack, and our tremendous cast and crew in the great city of Chicago. You are so good to us. In the process of writing and filming season 1, we discovered that there's so much more story to tell, and we've only scratched the surface of these characters as they fight for survival and find their way home through a landscape of mind-blowing realities. See you all in the box. August 2024, Apple TV Plus put the issue to bed when they ordered a second season of Dark Matter less than 2 months after they debuted this season. So we are getting season 2. And with that, let me ask you, in what world did the Destin family step into in the final months of the finale? What type of world do you think it was?
Oh, you mean that Charlie picked?
Yeah, what do you think Charlie picked?
I mean, I would assume he picked some...
Is it a skate park?
I would assume he picked some, like, perfect, something that a kid would find to be amazing.
I think it's going to be just a plain Jane normal world, not dissimilar to his own. I think it's only because he's new to this experience that he's not going to have, wow, shit, I've been in these 5 different worlds. Though it did seem pretty bright when they opened the door, right?
Wow, yeah.
Let's discuss this Ryan finding Amanda. What do you think that's going to turn into? Got any theories on that? Do you think that they're going to find a way? Do you think Amanda's going to do you think he's going to talk her into finding their way back to Earth 1?
See, I don't think they're going to find their way back to Earth 1. I do think we're going to see... Oh, absolutely.
Think they're going to get together? I think they'd be a perfect fucking couple, actually.
Well, I do think we're going to see them start hopping around, but I don't think they're going to ever make it back to season 1. I think somehow they're going to end up in the same world
with Charlie and them?
With Family 1, and it's going to cause something.
Do you think they're, other than that family, do you think they're going to cross paths with like J2 or Leighton 1, Leighton 2.
Absolutely.
Dawn.
Well, J2's dead.
I didn't think that was completely confirmed in this show. I don't know about your book, but I know in the show I was like, is he dead? Like they didn't actually show him die. I don't think he's dead.
Okay.
My theory is J2's not dead. And I guess obviously what are we gonna when it comes to like Leighton 2, Leighton 1, like what do you think's Dawn, Claire, whoever? Are we gonna see some of these other people pop back up, you think?
Well, I think Leighton 1 is
he's obviously hopping around.
He's gonna overdose somewhere. Leighton 2 is probably a rotting corpse somewhere by now.
Do you think the show is going to make, in my opinion, the mistake of season 2 completely like not following Jason at all?
Yes.
And following, you know what, this is going to be a Leighton season.
So
this is going to be a Ryan season.
I'm afraid, but also hoping that they're going to look at it as Jason's story arc is complete. Let's not dilute it. Let's not add any more drama. They got away. Let them get away. Let's follow somebody else. But at the same time, this whole story was about him. Like following somebody else, unless it's Ryan, which again didn't happen in the book, I don't see how it's gonna work.
Okay.
I just hope they don't overdo it and try and over Hollywood it and like make it overly predictable or make some ridiculous craziness happen.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's good that Crouch is here. I'm just hope he's not going to be overruled or pressured to make things happen.
People never do that.
Naturally. Yeah. I mean, I didn't.
Ridley Scott did not do that to Fede Alvarez.
It's Fede Alvarez. You know, when I was reading there, his statement, this is Apple, but I forgot that Sony was involved. And as soon as I was reading that, I had to like internally have two different voices going.
As soon as I see Sony, I cringe. Anyway.
I was like, man, yeah, they've done multiverse of Mad, or not? Yeah, they've done the Spider-Verse of Madness. But
what?
That's because
Into the Spider-Verse and across the Spider-Verse.
I was fixing my mistake, man. This is why the podcast isn't going to last.
Fix it well. You're like Spider-Verse of Madness.
Spider-Verse of Madness sounds like a badass movie. It does.
Did you see Wanda like trying to find different Spider-Men to
Mary Jane? Mary Jane became the Scarlet Witch. She is Scarlet. She's a redhead. She gets magical powers, and she's trying to find Peter.
This is true. This is true.
See, look, Marvel.
Holy
take that
crap,
residual check.
Figured it out.
Just send me the $1,000. That's all I'm asking for. I don't even need a million. Just $1,000 is all I need for that idea. That's it. You heard it here. So, final question. I got to stop asking questions here. Ready. If I wanted to support this podcast, how would I do it?
If you wanted to support this podcast, first off, you're going to hit that thumb up button.
I thought you were like, the first thing you would do is just stop showing up, Michael.
So, no, dude, I can't even imagine what these shows would be if it was just me.
Oh, no, you'd find somebody else. There's an alternate version of the H Train somewhere.
I would have to blow up, get a blow up doll, dress it up.
Whoa, weird.
I would have to have somebody, a mirror. Fine, talk to myself.
We're going to have to put an age lock thing on this.
If I have it set, not for kids.
Okay.
If you want to support this podcast, first off, hit the thumbs up button on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube.
Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah. And then if you want to leave a comment, that'd be awesome.
Please. But I dare you. I double dog dare
thumbs up and subscriptions really help push our metrics. That's what helps us become more visible to other people. It will help bring in new people, more viewers, stuff like that. If you want to financially help us out, because believe me, this isn't cheap. Michael and I have put our own money into every tiny bit of this, and don't get me wrong, it's worth it. We love doing this.
Yeah, but I cannot.
But
keep robbing banks.
Like
I can't.
Like hosting fees and everything like that, they do add up after a while. If you feel so inclined, you can go to treeofgeek.com. There is a help us grow tab where you can donate to us, or patreon.com/treeofgeek, $5 a month. That's it. And you'll get a shout out every show. You'll get behind the scenes info and photos. You'll get information on upcoming podcast releases, like, hey, in 3 episodes or 2 episodes, we're doing this that most people don't know of until literally the day we drop the episode.
If we actually had a bunch of followers on there, we would be doing actual special content. We would be doing things specially just for you.
We have already discussed movie reactions.
We got a list. I'm ready to roll on them, but
I still want to
need a reason. I need a reason.
I still want to do
me a reason.
Our own version of Science Theater 3000, where we watch really bad movies like that Alien Hunt.
I'm waiting for somebody to pull the trigger so I can do it.
React, because I think that would be amazing. And of course, you also get to vote on upcoming polls before we post them on social media.
And I haven't posted any because you guys don't respond to them, but you guys can respond. So shout out to John for being a Patreon subscriber, and shout out to
Unconfined You. He is currently our only paid subscriber, and he believes in us.
I believe in him.
I believe in him too. Another way to support us is hop on over to our Instagram, our X page, our Facebook page, wherever you like to play with your instant media social stuff. Wait, that didn't make any sense.
If you want to instantly play with your social media stuff, whatever. You guys know what we're saying. Okay, we've said the rigmarole. Go to our socials, follow us, like us, subscribe us, pay for us, do something. We love you all. Even if you can't do it, we understand. We have lives, we have jobs as well. We understand how it works.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much to every single one of you out there for lending your ear another time to listen to us ramble on about,
well, in this case, multi-reality versus stuff is. That's the proper name.
That's technical. I saw that in Science American.
Thank you.
I bought it at the local grocery store. You know how much a magazine is to buy? Like, if you buy Science American or something like that, it's like $20-some for a fucking thick magazine. Yeah, so Grandma loves magazine. We take Grandma grocery shopping every couple of weeks. So she's like, I want some magazines. And Home and Garden, dude, those things are like $14, $15, $16 for a magazine. And meanwhile, I get 1,000 things in my mail about the election. Stop wasting trees on election stuff for me. I don't need it. I have TV. I know what's going on.
And on that note, please stop calling me.
Yes, please. I don't have any surveys I need to answer.
All right, but listen, I hope you all enjoyed our take on Dark Matter. If you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend you go check it out. It is on Apple TV. If you don't have Apple TV, I'm sure you can find a way to watch it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean,
But for now, I'm going to duck out of here.
And I'm going to back that train back into the station where it belongs.
So for the Tree of Geek, this is Josh saying take care, everybody.
And this is the H Train saying be kind and love everyone. A joke.
Good time. Testing 1, 2, final test.
Here is the final test.